welcome back to another plant channel. So today I want to share with you my haul for August. I can't believe it's already the end of summer basically. It went by so quickly. But I have got a lot of plants to show you today. So just a quick disclaimer. My birthday was at the end of last month, so a couple of these I ordered last month and they just didn't arrive with shipping until this month. And then the rest I picked up throughout this month. But a lot of it was birthday money and I did some swaps and trades. So let's get into it. I'm going to start this video with the pots that I picked up. And I went to Savers and I picked up a stack of terracotta pots. So I got this little one here. And this one I'll have to drill a hole in, but I thought this was cute. It'll be perfect for a cutting. And then I got this one here. This was $1.49. And I love the wear on this. It's perfect. And then I picked up two of these, which also don't have drainage holes, but I'll just put ones in them. But I like the shape of these. They're kind of, they're not a standard terracotta shape. So if you see here, see they don't taper as much at the bottom. They're almost a little bit taller than they are wide. So I'm kind of excited to play around and style some things in them. Now the next pot I'm going to show you is also terracotta, and this I picked up at Lowe's. It came with a plant in it, which you'll see later in this haul. But I just love the shape of this. This is part of that Urban Jungle collection. So it's got the attached saucer. The drainage is out the side. But I just love the shape of it. It has a look where it's almost handmade. And then my favorite pot that I picked up this month is this guy here. So it's just a white, shiny ceramic pot with all these spikes all over it. Now I like that it looks like it's handmade because you can see it's got the uneven top. It is a mass-produced pot, so you probably could find it with a quick Google search. If I can find something similar on Amazon, I'll put it in my store for you guys. But I picked this up at a plant shop. I'm trying to think where it was. Bronxville, New York. I went to Mossy Fern in Hastings on Hudson, and then I also went in Bronxville. And this pot was in the Bronxville location. I just thought this was really cute. And I still haven't decided what I want to put in this. I don't know, because it's like my favorite pot I've ever bought. I'm kind of trying to decide what I want to style with it. All right, and now it's time for the plants. So there's quite a few here. Grab a tea, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start with the succulents because they are all in the smallest pots and they'll just be easiest. So I've got this guy here, and this is a blue candle cactus. And I just picked this one up at either Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't remember which. I think this was one of their like $3 plants. So I've got him. Now next is this plant that I arranged a partial trade for. I sold some cuttings and I sold some plants, and the one girl had a plant that I wanted, so we did a partial trade and sale. And I got this Dioscorea elephantippes, and it came with this one leaf here. It's since put out this one and it's getting this new one here, and I'm just so excited. I mean, it's just a little guy right now, but I can't wait if I can grow it big and it gets that base where it kind of splits and looks really neat. Okay, the next one is one that I've been wanting for a while, and this is one of the ones I ordered for my birthday. This is an Astrophytum capricorn, and it's also called the goat's head cactus, I believe, and kind of just because of how the spikes are on that. I just love the way this looks. And these actually aren't as sharp as they look. They're kind of papery almost. Okay, next cactus is a Mammillaria plumosa. And I think this is also called a feather cactus. But I've wanted one of these for a while. I didn't want to order it online, and I just happened to come across one at my local nursery, and it was, I think, $3 or $4. So I was really excited to find that. And then last succulent I have, my mother brought back from vacation for me, and this is a propeller plant. It's in the Crassula family, so related to jade. But I just thought that was a really cool, and I just spilled rocks. I just thought that was a really cool plant. And this one I give a name. I named it Pilot Pete because it's a propeller plant. So I just thought that was kind of cute. Okay. I'm going to show you guys the plant that came in that Urban Jungle terracotta planter. And that is this red Maranta. So I had one of these at the very beginning of my plant journey. It was one of the first plants that I went searching for. I had my string of pearls that I had searched for, and that was like August. And then I remember around like January, I kept seeing these on Instagram and I was in love with them. And I called all these nurseries and everybody didn't have it. And then I found one that did. I went and got it. And it was my first experience with pests. It had mealybugs, and at that time I didn't know what to do, so I overtreated it and ended up killing it. So this is my replacement. I always told myself if I saw another one at a good price, I would get it and try again. And this one is in a Marshall's pot right now. It's just kind of like a stoneware look with white. I picked up another Calathea. And this one is the Makoyana. Now I've had this before too. I had it in a smaller size. And I ended up selling it because it wasn't thrilling me. And I think the reason it didn't thrill me was because I had it in too much light and the leaves were kind of brown looking. They just didn't have that pretty typical Calathea look. So this one I put in lower light, and so far I am loving it. So I'm going to try and get in here close so you can just see the patterning on those leaves, and then from the back. And so far this has been a really easygoing plant. Like I said, I've only had it for about a month, but this one seems to be one of the easier Calatheas. There's not a lot of browning on any of the leaves, and it seems to be doing really well. Okay, on that same trip, I picked up an Alocasia Hilo Beauty. And let me just, now this, I have seen things online that it could be a caladium or an alocasia or maybe a hybrid, but they had it marked as Alocasia Hilo Beauty, so for the purposes of this video, that's just what I'm going to call it. But I loved the leaves on this one. So these are the leaves that were on here. This one is new. It's a little wrinkly, but that's okay. You can see it's a little bit lighter. It still hasn't hardened off. But when I saw that they had this, I saw it I think on Facebook, and I went with the purpose of buying this plant, and then I ended up finding the Calathea also. But I'm excited to try this guy out. Now I will say he's got thinner leaves than all my jewel alocasias, so I like the black velvet, the Maharani. His leaves are a lot thinner, so I'm thinking this one is going to be a higher humidity, maybe pickier plant. I'm still kind of figuring it out as I go. Okay, I ordered another plant from Bark and Vine. So if you watched one of my last videos, you saw I did some unboxings, and I'm not going to show them here because you already saw them. So I did the variegated Maranta. You saw that I unboxed that from Bark and Vine, and I had the Albosingonium from Steve's Leaves. So I did end up getting another plant from Bark and Vine, and I'll include their information again in the description box, so if you wanted to check them out. They're a plant store in New Haven, Connecticut, and they do ship. So I've been waiting for them to restock the Philodendron Silver Stripe, and when they did, I ended up buying one. So I'm just going to give you a close-up of the leaves, kind of show you how it differs from the Brazil. So the Brazil has a lot more of the yellow variegation, whereas this one you can see it's got the different colors in there. It's got like green and cream and kind of like a silvery. And then I've also, in my opinion, I feel like these leaves are a little bit longer than the Brazil. They're more of an elongated shape. But I just got this guy delivered a few days ago, so I don't really have any care, but I'm thinking it's a philodendron and it should be pretty straightforward. So that's that guy. And now, the last plants I saved for you, to me, are the most exciting. So the rest of these plants, let's see. I have 6 more. I know, like I said. So I've got 6 more plants to share. These all came from Equigenera. I had 2 of them shipped. So they did towards the end of last month, they did a summer sale, kind of like a surprise summer sale. And I picked up 2 plants on the website and had them shipped. And then they did a plant pop-up at a nursery in Connecticut about, I don't know, maybe like an hour and 20 minutes away. So my husband, me, and my mom made like a weekend vacation of it. And we went to the pop-up shop, and honestly, it was like one of those weekends where it's probably, it feels like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, almost like a sample sale or something like that. They just brought all the plants. They had them in boxes out. So I was really nervous, I'm not going to lie. But it all felt really safe and good. So I went ahead. We did that. But let me just get into it so I don't ramble on forever. I'm going to show you first the ones I picked up from the online sale. So first I have a varicosum, and I have this in a few pieces. So varicosums, at least from what I have read and heard, are notorious for not shipping wonderfully, which I knew ahead of time and I was prepared. So this actually came as like one large plant, but I felt like it would propagate better if I cut it down. So I cut it into 3 sections with leaves, and then I do have 1 wet stick that I'm just playing around with. So this is obviously the one that I expected, kind of like the typical yellowing and stuff. So we've got that one. This one here is kind of the mid cutting, and this one is already getting a root and a new growth point. So you can see that root there, and then I don't know if you're going to see the growth point, but this guy is rooting surprisingly quick for me. And then this is the cutting that I'm kind of most invested in. So this was the top cutting. It's got the 2 leaves, which actually look pretty good still, and it's got the new growth point. And let's see, this guy I didn't think was doing anything at my last check. Okay, it's starting to put out 1 small root, so, but I mean, it's a philodendron. It should bounce back pretty easily. And this pot here is what I'm going to be potting these guys in once they're ready to go. Now, I don't remember a lot of the prices, but I think the varicosum was like $20. It was between $20 and $30. I think it was $20. So for me, this is something I haven't seen around me at all. This was a really great price. And then I may end up either swapping or selling 1 or 2 of the cuttings depending on what will fit in this pot that I have. Now the next one I got from that summer sale is going to look really rough, and I'm going to show it to you guys. This actually just came in the mail yesterday, and this is an El Choco Red. This one is huge. I didn't expect it to be this large. So it came in a box that was like 3 feet long, and this one got damaged by the heat. When I opened the box, the plant was warm, the bottom of it was warm. You can see that this leaf has pretty much succumbed to the heat, so I'll kind of wait and just let it do its thing. This one here has some damage, but when it's a cutting, and these are like the only few leaves, I always just leave them until they die completely. It does have 1 new growth point in the center there, and I ended up having to remove all of the roots. It had 1 long root, and on that root, the little roots, like the secondary roots coming off of it, they were all desiccated and they were just crumbling and falling off. So I ended up having to cut them all off, and I just have it in water, hoping that it will rehab well. So fingers crossed for that guy, because that was one of my wish list plants. And I do think that if it sprouts again, like from that stump, obviously I'm losing the 2 large leaves. I kind of want it to start smaller. Maybe that's not a popular opinion, but I like it when they start small and then I can grow them. So fingers crossed, we're going to be working on that guy for a couple months probably. Now, these last 4 plants I'm going to show you came from that pop-up event, and I'm going to just start with the first one that I grabbed. So this guy is called a rhodospatha, and I will hold up the tag so you can see the spelling. Rhodospatha. SP. And from what I've researched, SP just means species, so it's when they don't know exactly which one it is, they just put that. And on Wikipedia, I think they had about 30 species of this, but none of them had pictures, so I really couldn't do any more research. And this plant, I was excited because I have never seen it, never heard of it. Like, to me, it was a brand new discovery. So I'm really excited to try this. So it's got like a dark green leaf with a red backing. From what I have researched, it's an aroid, and it's in the same subfamily as like Monstera, Scindapsus, Epipremnum. So being that it's closely related to all those plants, I figured I'm going to give it a go because they're easy. This should also be easy. So fingers crossed, we'll kind of see how I do with this. But I mean, when I find a plant that I've never heard of, it gets me excited because then there's like all that research. You get to fall into the rabbit hole and like, you know, look for the pictures on Instagram to try and find videos. And there's not a lot about it. So I'm kind of excited to learn and just see what happens. And this one I ended up potting up already, and I have it in one of my clear pots. But I did notice the ones that I picked up at this sale, the roots were in a lot better condition than the ones that get imported. So it just, you know, maybe the time and shipping hurts them. But these guys, I brought them home. They are in sphagnum. And what I did, because I bought it like in person and the roots all looked good, there was nothing like dried up and falling off, I brought them home and I put these guys in water overnight to kind of rehydrate them, just because it's stressful being bare rooted. And then once everything was looking good for that like 24 hours or so, then I went ahead and potted them up, and I'll just keep a close eye on it. Now the next one is also a plant that I had never heard of, and it turns out that this one is actually an orchid. So this one is called a Polexia olivaceae, and let me just get in here with that. And this is another one I had never heard of, and then once I found out it was an orchid, that's probably why. So the research I did told me that it was a terrestrial orchid, which means I put it in a barky mix similar to my aroids. And then, I mean, just look at those leaves. That's kind of what got me. My mom found this one actually and brought it over to me, and I don't know, just the leaves were what got me. And then when I looked it up and saw it was an orchid, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't get it because I don't know orchids. But you know what? I decided to give it a shot because it's so pretty. And I have had one grocery store orchid, which did fine, but it just kind of got boring, so I ended up selling it. And then I do have one jewel orchid, Macotis petola, which I have in a terrarium. So this is going to be my third orchid overall. And this guy is styled in, I think this was TJ Maxx, just a TJ Maxx pot. And I didn't tell you about the pot from the last guy. This one here, this pot came from a local nursery, Adam Spraker Farm, and it's a terracotta pot that looks like it's been like painted in matte white spray paint. And then it also came with a huge glass cloche on top, but I didn't want the glass on here, so just like that. Okay, now the last two are anthuriums. I picked up an anthurium reflexanervium, and this one here. This is in a TJ Maxx pot, and this one is not ready to be repotted. I'll go ahead and show you what's going on. So I was drawn to this one because of the leaves. I love that corrugated type texture. And this is going to be a bird's nest style anthurium. And this one has a few roots on here that are still good. So, I mean, I don't have any worries really about it bouncing back. It seems like it'll do fine. But I do want to get some more roots on here before I go ahead and pot it up. And I actually took off the bottom of this chunk and stuck it in some sphagnum just to see what would happen. But yeah, so this is my anthurium reflexanervium. And then the last one is a plant that was actually on my wish list. I went on the site before I went to the sale and kind of like earmarked a couple that I would look for. And this is the Anthurium villanaeorum. And this has been on my wish list for a while, so it was kind of exciting to see it there. And let's see if I can find, there we go. Anthurium villaneorum. And this is just, it like standard type anthurium. Also, I potted it in here. But it's got like that thick leaf, which lets me know that it's probably not going to be a diva when it comes to humidity. Too early to tell. Like I said, I just brought these home over the weekend. But it feels really sturdy, so I think it's going to be pretty good at adapting. And yeah, so I'm just happy to add this one in. This was one that I had on my wish list. And this is in one of those Adams pots that's like the terracotta spray painted ones. So that is my August plant haul. I know this seemed like it was so long to me, at least. I do have to slow down a little bit for September. And let me just say that as I'm adding these in, I also am getting rid of some, so it's not like I'm just becoming overrun. I kind of do a go through. I don't want to call it a purge, but I do like a go through every month or so. And if a plant isn't really thrilling me, I'm not loving it, I go ahead and either sell it or give it away or trade it or something like that. So actually this guy up here is going to be getting rehomed this weekend, and maybe my silver stripe, I might put him in there and see how he does. It's an awful lot of light for a philodendron. But you know, I'll play it by ear and see how he does. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all my new plants. Did you guys get anything new? Let me know in the comments. Or if you have any questions about anything I picked up, I can try my best to answer it. These are all semi-new, so I haven't had a lot of time to learn their care. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video.